These papers are backwards. Who put this like this?
What if we went out alphabetically? You get A day, I get B day.
What if you took turns shutting up alphabetically all at once?
Well, I really think somebody was messing with my
desk.
Click the like button repeatedly on Co-vid's account. It'll just go away.
Reverse psychology.
Do you mean like a reward for being nice?
I'm pretty sure Co-vid does not work on a niceness scale.
You're starting.
They're all mixed up.
I disagree with how the quote, if I get corona, I get corona, at the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from partying. I disagree with how it is played out in the media for such a while, and then you didn't hear about it. Except there is a comment that was, I believe, posted by Brady. I'm not going to say the last name. From the statement that Brady posted, I think on Twitter, it sounds like you can only guess at what seems to be. Yet it seems to be no one should have to write a press release after having fun at a beach. Brady on Instagram, and I got this news from the New York Times online. And I disagree with this statement. A young man whose bold defiance of social distancing guidelines while on spring break. Is it okay for reporters to use adjectives in any way? Because they're interchangeable. Oh my goodness, I believe you are an idiot. And I don't have enough proof, but I have an idea that you are an idiot. Just wondering. Because what you are trying to do is explain a very unique idea that adjectives might not necessarily be factual or provable. They're just kind of inadvertently thrown around. And that's a good thing if you're trying to describe something to somebody. You are getting into the idea of censorship. Because if you tell people at any point in anywhere that you can't use these words, you have to start using these words. These are bad words, these are good words. That's censorship. So everything you said in that last little frame is hinting that you're trying to be interesting and creative, but you're also showing blatantly that you accidentally are getting down a path of censorship. And that's how easy it can happen. You think that this is the right path, and it's like, whoa, the path is way wider than that. That could be worded in so many ways. I disagree with how media portrays things. I'm not saying it's fake news. I'm just saying I disagree with a lot of things, how things are portrayed, and people get sucked up into this whirlwind of entertainment, and that's what the news is. So before I get too far in this, this is my first video, vlog, or anything that I'm going to be posting. I am nervous about doing this. I'm afraid that if I'm not factual enough or perfect enough, that I will get ridiculed for saying it. Here is the cool thing about you being an absolute nobody, is that nobody cares about what you have to say. It really doesn't matter what you say, as long as it's remotely kind of healthy and in good humor. Nobody cares what you have to say. And I don't even know if I'm supposed to do this. I have no idea, but there's this idea of a passion inside of me to comment on all of this that's going on, specifically surrounding this video excerpt from a beachgoer. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to break this up into three. So I'm going to try and do this video vlog thing in 3 sessions of filming. The first round I'm going to film in this blue, and I'm going to get down all my thoughts. And then I'm going to edit. And if I forgot to say anything, I'm going to film in this shirt.
What about me? What about my opinion?
And if after I show my friends saying, hey, is this appropriate or not?
I just realized what an idiot you are. Because in a pandemic, you can't drive around to people's houses with a thumb drive and say, hey, check this.
Look at your thumb drive. Well, are you sure it doesn't have a virus?
If they correct anything, I am deeply sorry and apologetic on how my shut-in beard is just all over the place and I cannot keep control over anything in my life, even my beard. So please bear with me. I might do more YouTube videos and I promise I will maybe groom better for those.
Everything I'm about to reference stems from the news broadcast of Brady saying, at the end of the day, and the full quote is, do I need to say it? Yes, just say it. Say it. That would be a good idea. If I get corona, I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from partying, etc., etc. And I did talk with many, 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 many great scholars, and we all concluded it's totally okay that you said that. It looks like 6 people were interviewed on that beach the day of the end of the day quote, which I'll keep referencing it as end of the day. And I'll keep referencing it through the whole thing and compare it to other things. There were 6 people that I could tell, 3 male, 3 female, that were interviewed on that beach party, which wasn't necessarily one party. A camera guy and interviewer went from partygoer to partygoer on the beach looking for prospective interviews. And Brady, as well as these other people, gave a micro interview that probably lasted...
Maybe you might want to guess at all the footage you didn't see.
Well, what makes you so qualified to say anything? From what I can tell, you look like a...
Back in 2001, 2002, there was stuff going on in the downtown area, and I decided it was fun to make a comment about what was going on to a camera operator. A newscast was going on, and without even thinking, this camera was in my face. So I know exactly what it feels like to have a camera in your face. And I had a comment, an unprepared comment to make about what was going on in the downtown area at that time. I decided, without thinking too much, to not say anything. There's a big pressure when that camera is in your face and you know it's like the whole world is focused through that lens. I'm not surprised at what people say on the camera, to the camera. Because when you're not prepared, the first thing that comes to your mind is what you're saying to the camera in response to maybe the interviewer saying, what did you want to say about this? Oh, I got lots to say. And if you say a lot of things, let's say you say 40 things, they're going to pick what they want to be the narrative of their newscast. And if they are doing a narrative about bad street design, they'll take all your comments that have anything to do with bad street design. Even if it needs to be forced, they'll push it. Why would anyone want to push any kind of agenda? Ever?
Oh, don't even tell me that never happens. Hey, is that my shirt you have on? That's my shirt, man.
If you say 40 things to a newscaster, they have the ability to skim through the 40 things you've said and pick the 1 or 2 things that will make their, I don't want to say agenda, but their narrative. And that's a better polite way of saying agenda. Their narrative that they're trying to push about the ongoing matter in front of them. Who looks over the shoulders of journalists, though? Or news anchors? Or the news industry? The entertainment industry? 2 questions started forming as I was editing and watching everything. Do news stations or news outlets who have contracts with advertisers have clauses, this is a question, have clauses that if their ratings go up, during the contract that they make more money, or even after a contract that they can make more money. And this goes to the second question. Would news agencies who have these contracts push or stoke a fire by wording things in a certain way, even if it's changing a word or two, that is logically correct? However, it could have been worded the previous way and been just as fine. I don't know the answer to these questions, and it's just a question, two of them actually. When listening to news feeds, listen to the background. Are they playing ominous music or eerie sounds to elicit a feeling? I've noticed several, some more than others, but several news feeds, they do the ominous music in the background or sound effects. What does that say about news? I haven't been featured ever on news, but people have come up to me and said, hey, I saw you on the news, because I might be in the background of some event, or I know one time I was actually at a town hall meeting that was aired, and I think my foot or leg got on camera, and I was like, oh, there's me. I have been at news events and talked to news anchors and people and technical people. So I have a little bit of experience, but I don't know everything about the news entertainment industry. But I know enough where I kind of get it. And you, Brady, got caught up in this whole organism geared at getting views. And you were not fully comprehension. You did not have full comprehension when you gave the comment at the end of the day of how it would be played out. Now, does the media care about you when you're giving that interview? Some might say yes. Others would probably say, well, no, they don't care about you at all. They care about what you said and how it can be played out into the narrative, or for a worser term, the agenda that the media might want to play out that particular day. It's difficult to explain, but a short story. One news fella, not an anchor behind the camera, he mentioned to me a story. And I get talking to people and I enjoy the stories they tell. A kid came up to him and said, hey, how do I get on the news? Well, this fella said, you either do something really amazing or die a gruesome death. And this is true. And this corona outbreak feeds both of those ends, because you have amazing people doing amazing things and you have people dying gruesome deaths. This is, and I'm sorry to say it like this is perfect for the news to capture audience. Perfect. Because this is what the news wants. The news might say, oh no, this is not what we want. This is what they want. This micro interview is, here, I know I brought, so, this is your interview that they captured. And this is the footage that they used of your interview. I, as a viewer, do not know what they filmed before or after what they put on the television. When you were giving that interview, I bet you were excited to voice your opinion, because everybody feels that their perspective is correct, because they're in a zone of comfort in their own person. Meaning, what could be wrong about partying? It's fun. Everybody does it. And I believe that you didn't say anything wrong in that interview. However, there were other people who gave interviews in the news that I could tell on that same beach. I do not know if it's all at the same beach. I don't know, because I saw 6, 3 males, 3 female, interviewed in the same footage. Now, the other people, one fella said we should end hunger and poverty. We got to end hunger and poverty is what one interviewee said. Now, why didn't, and here's yours. Here you got your hat, and there, that's you talking right there to the camera. And there's your hat right there. This is Brady's footage. And this is the fella who said, end hunger and poverty. And I believe a female said, make the best of it. Make the best of it. Why did they, meaning the powers that be, the media, go right towards your clip all the time? It was played out for quite a while. I couldn't tell you exactly because I tune in and out of the news footage about the coronavirus. I'm a tiny bit addicted to the news about this, but however, at the same time, I'm like, whoa, I got to do something else. So there were many interviews. I only saw 6 interviews. There could be 20 people who got interviewed. Maybe they fumbled, maybe they didn't say something fun enough to be on camera. But of the people, some of the comments were end hunger and poverty instead of, worry about that. Instead of the issues of, I guess, the people on the beach. And I believe a lady said, make the best of it. Now, these two aren't going to be as eye-catching as Brady's comment. And Brady looked a little party. And that was perfect for them to take this clip and just push this agenda. And I'm not upset at how this works, but this is kind of how it works. This clip can then be, to the best of my knowledge, it's the property of the newscast, the news organization. They own this clip, even though it's of Brady. They filmed it with their camera, and I don't even think that there's probably a contract where the videographer of the news station can't even have copyright to it. Anything filmed on the camera would then go right to the news. And then the news can take this footage and, to the best of my knowledge, can sell it to other news feeds for a certain amount of money. And if I ever wanted to do a documentary about coronavirus beach scandal and I wanted this clip, I would have to go to the news station that interviewed this clip or captured this clip and pay them a certain, I believe it could be in the thousands, pay them for this clip to use it in my documentary.
Possibly also getting footage that was not aired.
Then I would have the rights to place it. It's probably more technical. It is more technical than I just said it. But these clips would not be as lucrative, or I should say, I don't want to say agenda, but narrative. It's more lucrative in the narrative department to have your clip, or Brady's clip, played out as much as possible. Because it fulfills so many things, like it's eye-catching, brings in views, and if there's a narrative to be played, and the narrative is, look at these dumb people. I don't think you're dumb. But if the narrative is, look at these dumb people, whoa, look at this. And they don't care about you, Brady. They care about this clip. So if you could separate that, you might have a better spiritual sense of this. They don't want Brady to suffer. They just want the footage. Yeah, I wish I had a monitor like all the cool people have. I don't have a monitor. But moving on.
Oh, I hide this guy's notes all the time. It's so funny. I don't think he has any idea yet that I do this.
You gave an interview that you weren't prepared for, nor are many of us when the camera is pointed at our face. And it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it can be made out to be the biggest deal in the world. Most people might say, yeah, I party too, but let me get into this.
Man, you are so far into this, and without any gloves? I'm pretty sure you have a virus by now.
It was a lackadaisical comment, and the media ate it up, and they used your comment to gain views. They gained money from these views, yet you, the interviewee, did not gain any money from this. Would it ever be set up that if somebody ever did a comment and they got publicized for this comment, would they ever make any money off of it? Would those news stations who gained from your comment pay you money? Saying, hey, you helped our ratings out. Yeah, it was a lackadaisical comment. People ate it up. We got money from it. Gained some views, some notoriety. Yet, the Brady, the end of the day comment, who's that's attached to Brady, Brady's not going to make any money from this. Why can't he? Why can't he be? But then the flip is, people would just flock to news cameras and hope they get. It'd be like a lottery. So yeah, I get that. Does anyone doing the interview get interviewed? Does anyone interview the interviewer? What I mean is, are people going to troubleshoot the interviewer's tactics? And tactics is that could be a whole YouTube thing of tactics with reporters. If you follow the people that are all involved, from the person who said, go get me footage of beachgoers. I see that there's a lot of people on the beach. Go get me footage of them. From that person all the way to the news anchor, or the person who presses play in the sound room, all of them. If you follow the chain from the person who says, go get that footage, to the person who picks up the camera, the interviewer, the person who runs the audio, bringing it to the news station, all these people in the chain, the people in the booth, I would say, all these people, do they care about, in this case, Brady's way of life after the comment gets aired? Does anyone care? All those people along that line were just doing sort of a cog in the machine type of thing, and do they care? I don't know. I have no answer for it. I can't research that on what I've got. But if you follow the people, none of them are placed in a situation to necessarily care. It's get the views, get the interview, get footage, get something to get the people to watch so we get views. These are two perspectives. One is the press any better than you? I don't know. Meaning the comment, just the comment, not so much you as a person, the entirety of your life, but is the press any better than the comment they picked up? I had it written down here somewhere. If you are attacked in any way for being young, which you are, I think it was 22 you are, that's still young. If you are attacked in any way for being young, that says a lot about the state of the world. And in a sense, what I mean by that is
Geez, Dave. While you're pondering what you're going to say next, let me take the time to talk to Brady and say, in another year from now, you wouldn't have been able to be forgiven. Nobody would have forgiven you for that if you were like a year older. You're so lucky.
by them playing this footage over and over, they're possibly agreeing to the idea that youth can be portrayed as stupid if we want them to be portrayed as stupid. And people watching this without seeing all the rest of the entirety of somebody's life, the news is okay with the portrayal of any type of person as lackadaisical or without merit.
The news is entertainment. They have producers, they have lighting directors, they have all the qualities that a film or a television show would have, and the viewership is most important to solidify the whole commercial revenue to keep it going. And they want to keep it going, so the views are important. That's entertainment. But most important of all, this is my jacket. It's not yours. You're borrowing my jacket.
So this interview, which is a fraction of somebody's life, many people would rather attack or ridicule this aspect than fix their own lives. It's not necessarily a convoluted idea, but the idea should be simple. Most people viewing stuff are actually looking for something to ridicule. They, rather than improving the world around them or fixing themselves and the world around them, they would want to look at a footage of somebody doing something not necessarily wrong, but could be perceived as wrong. And in another way, if everybody is spiritually right here, some people feel that they are down here. And if they see something like this, then they will look at it and try to pull it down to at their level or beneath them. Meaning, and I'm saying it over again, if this is where everybody is spiritually, a lot of people feel that they are down here. They won't admit it, but they're down here. And when they see anything that can be considered wrong, they will look at it, grab it, and pull it down however they can to meet at their level.
You're bringing me down is a term that's been around for a while. They've already thought of this.
I think I said that right. You're Brady. The comment, if I get corona, I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from fill in the blank. And what I mean by this is the blank. Everybody, I wrote it down here somewhere. People are acting out your comment. That's it. There's a lot of people out there with their own twist on your comment. If I get corona, I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from going to the liquor store. If I get corona, I get corona. I'm not going to let it stop me from going to get my coffee at the drive-thru. And I've seen it. And I actually thought of this part of this while I was in a drive-thru getting a mocha. And I was like, look at all these people who do not need to be here, and they're all funneling through the same area. I just put more in the budget for digital equipment. That's in there.
Well, of course it's in there. It's like you used an industrial drill for that, dude. Is that what you were doing? Oh gosh, this is disgusting, man.
Okay, here's my prompter. So I'm in, this is so not necessary, but I want it. I have my prompter. So if this is the establishment and this guy has a 3-wheel car right here. 1, 2, 3. This guy has one of those new moon cars. All these people are funneling in to this one area. Now it was it was a while before I started seeing people handing stuff in trays to people. It took a while, but all these people for the longest time would funnel into the same area right after another, even after there was knowledge that the coronavirus would remain on items, smooth surfaces, like at the drive-thru there's all these counters here and stuff, and plastic cups and everything that's going through and funneling through this area, and all these people are lined up funneling through this area. And if I get corona, I get corona. If I get corona, I get corona. If I get corona, I get corona. The difference is these people weren't interviewed saying this. If a camera went up to one of those people and in the background you could see all these cars. I'm gonna have to do something. I got it. I figured it out.
Whoa, this is my house, man. Whoa. Stop doing that. I'm gonna get... Whoa. Oh, that's how that happened. I kept coming in here thinking this doesn't make sense.
There's my video monitor. So all these people are funneling into the same area. If an interviewer with a camera got their comments of the same
David,
thing.
I'm reporting to you live from Just Getting Fast Food, and I've got my fries and I've got my mocha, and they did not hand the change in a tray. I'm just telling you. Yeah, they definitely handed me the change in bare hands, no glove, and not even a tray. We definitely have to do something about this. As a community, as a culture, we've got to combat this, no glove thing and no anything thing. It's just hashtag first world problem.
Would they stop having drive-thrus? It's an interesting question. If somebody said what Brady said, at the end of the day, if I'll get coronavirus, doesn't matter, would they keep drive-thrus open? Because a lot of the stuff is not necessary. Coffee, mocha, liquor stores, people who are addicted. I guess See, like, apparently it's okay for people to walk away from non-essential newscasts. At the end of the day, maybe I should cover this up. So for me, at the end of the day, if I get corona, I get corona. I'm not going to let it stop me from going to the store and getting whipped cream, because this is technically not necessary, but I have an addiction to it now with this shut-in thing going on, and I have to have it on everything now because it's my one fun thing. I'll make my coffee, whipped cream. I'll make my mocha, which is coffee with powdered chocolate, whipped cream. I don't put it on burritos, so I don't put it on everything. However, at the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from getting my whipped cream. Now, I have made runs to go to the store and just get... Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. What Dave is trying to say is that he goes to the store for essential items like bread or milk, and when he's in the dairy aisle, he happens to see, oh, whipped cream right there, and he happens to put it in his cart to purchase. However, the point is, everybody puts their fill in the blank for the corona comment. At the end of the day, Sweden, an entire country, they're not a continent, but remember, Sweden is doing mitigation as well as some other countries, so it's...
They're saying things like mitigation. Shouldn't it be mitigation if it has to do with health?
I don't know everything. I used to, and then they invented more facts, and I couldn't keep up, so I gave up. It's okay. At the end of the day, Corona is not going to stop Sweden from fill in the blank.
Alright, well, we're going to think about this in a little different way. If you put together, meaning put together all of the items of information on this planet, contained in everyone's mind to be that of in your mind, you still would not know everything. Because there is a universe out there full of other people thinking the exact same thing. That this equation cannot be complete unless I or we find those other thinkers. I hope that this does not expand your face mask to cover your eyes.
Essentially, an entire country, and there's others who did the same thing. It's herd immunity. What Brady was saying in that comment, if I get corona, I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from... Farmers use this term. They hope that, and it's a hope. They hope that the herd, and we are a herd of people, although people would not want to be considered a herd of anything. So I retract that herd comment. If you walk out without a hazmat suit, you're not 100% protected.
Well, remember, people like myself are wishing for a cure, and not necessarily a cure that turns us into zombies or people who cannot rationally think or make conclusions about anything.
This is all getting out of hand. saying sunlight diminishes COVID is a vague comment that might do more harm than good. Meaning, direct sunlight, oh, it's sunny out, we can do whatever we want. However, what about shadows? What about buildings that cast shadows on restaurants? You go outside and think you're okay, but are you? And what about where sun doesn't reach, like under door handles or underneath carts when you hand...
Serpentine, 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 serpentine. Come on, serpentine.
I wish it were told more blatantly to the public. If you go outside and there is a virus and there's no cure or vaccine for it at the moment you go outside, you are practicing in herd immunity. That's it.
People are getting the virus and getting over it. They're moving on. So maybe they have become immune to the virus and there is immunity being built. Currently, I am consulting these star charts to calculate all the odds that you can guess if you or other people have possibly or maybe got immune to the virus. Okay? And I'm factoring in the possibility that a new virus mutation has not occurred. And this is very interesting.
Yeah, there is a such thing as mitigation, but when you're in public and you're in a closed area with other people who may or may not be protecting themselves, like face masks or whatnot, mitigation, there is a chance you can catch a virus.
People can counter with, well, if you practice social distancing and you follow these guidelines, you reduce the odds of getting infected.
First of all, when I look up articles, they always say stuff spreads in feet. And I don't understand why a virus would just stop in 1 foot increments. If they said social distance of 6 feet, 5 inches, and 1/8 of an inch, I'd be like, yeah, I believe them. They're freaking serious.
But everything I'm saying can be argued with the simple fact that I don't have a bio degree in anything. 2/3 of the population need to be infected with the coronavirus for it to be immune enough to not spread.
But you're going to have to put supposedly in front of that last sentence, because just because you get 2/3 population immunity, it doesn't mean it stops the spread. It just like seriously slows it down. The virus then probably supposedly has a more difficult time of finding another person to infect. Well, it's like you go to a dance club and you want to make out with people, but you've already made out with 2/3 of the people there already, and they already know your game. You might get lucky that night and make out with somebody there, but you might not. You're going to have a hard time infecting your virus with people. And when I say your virus, I mean your persona. And then you go to another club and they're already 2/3 full of your stuff. So then you just keep going and going and you have a difficult time. The virus is there, going from club to club. But you're having a hard time finding people that would be like, yeah, okay.
What if there are mutations? Nobody knows. So again, herd immunity. Balance is typically the answer, but I don't know about this in this case. There is an aspect of delay until maybe we find a cure. If you go outside at all where there is no cure for a virus that's going around, what you're practicing in is herd immunity. That motorcycle, he does wear a mask and it's actually kind of cool. It's important to be reminded of mortality. People don't like it when you reword stuff. I don't like it. Most people consider it putting words in your mouth. But the idea of flattening the curve is not so much saying that you're saving lives, it's more that you're stalling the inevitable. Because if you don't have a cure, and I'm not a doctor, but if you don't have a cure, eventually everybody will come in contact with something. Eventually. Unless underground bunker or something like that. But on a day-to-day basis, eventually everybody will come in contact with the coronavirus. Flattening the curve is just delaying that same thing and allowing hospitals to keep up with the inevitable. And people don't like it when it's worded like that, but to the best of my knowledge, that is a correct way of wording this. It's bad to scare people, but at the same time, it's bad to play people as ignorant. And that's what like the pretending thing. Pretending that we're just going to word things different. We're just going to fake people out. That's what really upsets me about this whole thing. We're going to manipulate things and say it like this so it's cozy. And
When you let your children go to the dance club with the condoms you have provided them, are you going to say they are 100% protected from STDs? I mean, there are STDs that have no cure still. And would you say, go outside, you're going to be fine? No. What really happens is, and this is a spiritual thing, you say, go outside and believe everything is a gamble and that our children are to graduate to the next level of whatever kind of eternal happiness you or we have placed outside for them to swim in.
okay, I have 10 facts. And I'm going to hold back this many 4 facts. I can count. 4 facts, and left over is 6. 6. These 6 facts I'm okay to give you because they support an idea I have that I want to convey. I have this story, and I don't want to tell you all the facts, but I will say that Peter lost some money, and Paul gained some money because I gave him money. Robbed Peter to pay Paul. That's a story there. I'm involved. I robbed Peter, and I paid Paul. I only want to tell you the facts that Peter lost some money. That's sad. And I paid Paul a lot of money because of whatever reason, taxes or debt. That actually does sound kind of interesting. The duality of facts might contradict the narrative the facts could tell. 2 people can look at the same thing and see 2 different things. That's their fact of the situation. It's like research data. I've heard references on the news about one person bringing in the virus from outside the United States to inside the United States. And I do not comprehend how that is possible to even accurately know this with how many planes were coming and going into the United States.
Yeah. If you said, alright, you tell me you know one person brought in the virus. Alright. So then, why didn't you stop that person at the border? Because you could only know something like that if you were knowledgeable at the time. Because backtracking something like that would have you go through all of these people who were coming into the United States roughly at the same time, thereabouts. And you're telling me that only one of these spread the virus. I'm thinking maybe you're full of it. Because it's possible that the virus came in on multiple backs of people various times and spread in various places here and there. Hey, wipe it all clean. Wipe it all clean. It's possible that there was a first person who landed and then things spread out from there. But, however, there were other plane flights coming in. It's not like the virus on the first plane or boat called all the other virusi and said, you know what? Termination protocol. I got this covered.
How is that possible? One person. Like the coronavirus said, you made the cut. Only you.
Or maybe we could go back in time and interview all the first reptilian mammals that came out of the sea, and we'll try to figure out who was the first.
States are ignoring federal guidelines. But then you can see some states are adhering to federal guidelines and surpassing federal guidelines. Businesses are looking at other businesses to see what they can get away with. And I believe people are doing the same thing. Degrees in common sense don't take you very far in debates these days. And there's conflicting in reporting that this could last. It could go past June. That's actually not the reporter's fault. And some people are outside going, oh no, it's great.
Well, it does look great out there from in here.
The beachgoers now, the new wave, not the first wave, this is the second wave of beachgoers. And they're hungry. And I'm thinking of the slogan, okay, so you can have two groups of people out there. The people who want to shelter in place and the people who want to go party at the beach. And it's really happening again now. Wow. The people who want to, wait, which one were which? So the people who want to go to the beach are going to say to the other side, get real. And the people who want to shelter in place are going to tell the other side, the beachgoers, get real. So you have two sides saying get real. So you could tell, in a sense, the whole world to get real. Hopefully this could help anybody with adverse footage. Adverse footage syndrome, it's a thing. I can cut to whatever I want. After watching various footage, or footages of the coronavirus epidemic, it's difficult to surmise a definition of what's going on because nothing's clear. You watch one interview, it says something, and you watch another interview and it says something completely different that's contradictory to anything else you've ever looked at in the subject of COVID-19.
Probably that's because
anything said today will change in 3 days. So this person over here has an idea that conflicts with this person over here. So this person must be wrong compared to this person's perspective. And this person over here has many ideas that conflict with this person over here. But this one person has a lot of money, so this person is incorrect. That's how it works. I get how this comment is not really grounded, but I believe it's healthy for us humans to go through different things. And this pandemic definitely is different. All of this has given me and a lot of people things to think about that they wouldn't have otherwise thought about. This 3-shirt deal sounded good going into it. However, with time passing between each shirt that I'm wearing and looking at the footage and looking at the news, the perspective of everyone is learning and changing, and I believe that should be a good thing. No one can explain the scope of this pandemic in one phrase, sentence, or people try. They say unemployment or crisis, and you can't. There's no way to explain it in one sentence or a couple YouTube videos.
It baffles me when people way oversimplify things. It could be helpful, but to a point, like saying Democrats are like farms and Republicans are like big buildings. That makes no sense to me because you're describing the actions and political orientations of people with structures. And structures that pretty much just sit there. So what are you trying to tell me? I don't know. But I'm going to spell it out like this. As far as politics go, there is no park here yet. Yet a park needs to be voted on. And people, and we're not going to call them Republicans or Democrats because they are people. People need to vote on this park into existence. So here's the dilemma and the main point of this. They are not voting on a park. They are voting of all these things in their way. I call them sideshows, except there's one sideshow that's very important, and it's the Constitution. That's an important one. So we will actually put it underneath what needs to be voted on, because that's the foundation of what the process is. There's more to it, and you could find me guilty of oversimplifying. However, there are all these sideshows like, alright, special interest groups. That's interesting. Do you see how, yeah. And then there's like the different party orientations, like, okay, I'm voting, but who made this bill? Was it one of my political orientations? Or was it the other political orientation? Because that might affect, as a filter, what I'm going to be voting on. See how that works? And there's all these other things in the way of voting. See, they're not looking right at the Constitution and what needs to be voted on. They're filtering through all these things like, oh, there's no way this one of them would be money. Oh, that doesn't mean anything. And then there's like other things you probably don't even know about that can't even be comprehended. Like, even if the person who wrote this bill, this person who needs to vote on it, doesn't really like them. It doesn't matter their political orientation. They're just like, that person's stupid. So whatever we're going to vote on in their bill is stupid.
"11 years after the Declaration of Independence was signed, wasn't the Constitution designed with intentions for distractions or intervention of any one person, like a king or queen or mogul, from getting whatever they want whenever they want? Everything you say in this environment has a backlashable consequence. So, by people, this is how I write, by people backlashing, it causes hesitation. Every move anyone makes is backlashed instead of supported.
Possibly backlash means correctiveness. And there are events and situations and even comments that need desire need backlash. If an action is causing unbalance, you want to backlash or corrective eyes things back to where it might be better. There are lots of arguments about to or not wear a mask, and it ranges from, do I have to wear a mask regardless of laws? Like, forget the laws. Do I need to wear a mask because there may or may not be something out there? And will a mask help? Question mark, question mark. And then there's people who say, oh, it's all a lie. It's all a lie. Well, prove that it is or isn't. Err on the side of caution. Wear a mask, maybe, maybe not. Other people's decisions don't make me wear a mask. I want to wear a mask. Then they're throwing it out there. It's all a lie. It's man-made. Which is great that it's being talked about. The question of whether that's possible or not. How would I investigate it? Let me start getting my science kit out. I am enjoying seeing news coverage on conspiracy theories about the whole coronavirus. Wonderful to see people rationally talk about a conspiracy theory, saying, hey, I think there's more to it. I also noticed the news was like, we don't want to talk about that. So let's kind of shove it away. And it's interesting. If somebody were to come up to you and tell you, I need you to walk over there now, do it. You'd be like, hey, no. But mentally, people allow themselves to get mentally shoved aside and whatnot. There's 10% of the words you are no longer allowed to use, and we don't want you to go there. You would be baffled, confused, and you would be angered. Why constrict me? Would you tell somebody, don't do a Sudoku puzzle, do a crossword? That's better. Why would you tell somebody, use your mind to think this way and not that way? What if there were steps in realizing that there's more to the world than there really is? Every step, no. We don't want to go there on that step. Use your mind for a crossword puzzle, not a Sudoku puzzle. There are going to be many steps in the way people can think about different things. And I'm wondering if there's a turnabout or a roundabout or some sort of gradient that gets people up to the next level. And what if it is wondering about what's a treasure map that doesn't exist? Is there a treasure at the end of this map that I believe exists? I went to a fairly big store for food yesterday, May the 11th. I'm still editing. And I noticed that there were about 100% of the people were wearing face masks. And when I first walked in, I could not see one person without a face mask. And I did not have a face mask because I forgot it in my car and I didn't even think about it. Oh my gosh, I was freaking out. Now I realized this. Had anyone turned to me and said, you haven't heard the news? I would have just lost it and ran out the store. I was just freaking out. So the point of this is, if you see somebody without a mask, you don't have to belittle them and say, oh, you're not wearing a mask. All you got to do is turn to them and stare at them and go, oh my God, you haven't heard? And just leave it at that and just say, go home and look up the news. But that made me look up the news, and lo and behold, I find this article from the New York Associated Press, May 11th, I believe, is when I looked it up, and it said 7 hours ago that day. NBC has apologized for, that's NBC, N as in Nancy, NBC has apologized for inaccurately cutting a portion of an interview with Attorney General William Barr that left a false impression with viewers of Meet the Press. Now they later go on in the article and say it was an accident. That's all it was an accident. We forgot that other footage was there or something like that. So, that being said, I can't find an article that says that they intentionally did anything like that. There's nothing around here that I could find, so I have to just leave it at that. It only happens as accidents and could never be intentionally done.
So there's this Wall Street Journal article, and it's updated April 22nd of 2000 of this 20. And it says research on the new coronavirus and how cough, and this is just cough. This says nothing about sneezing. Spreads suggest the virus can travel further and linger longer in the air than previously decided. What that tells me is any previous article they tell me about 1 foot increments, I can just assume they're going to come out with another article that says, well, we were wrong. We think it's different now. While all the lines, so like, this protective barrier is like a park. And here's a runner running down the park going cough, cough, cough. And I don't even know how long ago he's been there, or if he has like a face mask or anything. And there's an article here that says, who knows? And I'm supposed to be running up behind this guy? Like, no, I'm not even going to be running behind him. I'm going to stick to running in my dreams from my nightmares.
The people who were interviewed in those interviews whenever these video clips were taken, they did not have as much information as the flocks of people protesting to go to the beaches right now in May 4th, 5th, 6th. Isn't time funny with perspective? But nobody's singling them out. So when you're in a herd of people, your idea somehow has clout now.
All of those protesters protesting masks should really go all in and prove a point on the Capitol steps and fornicate only wearing masks as protection to prove in 9 months face masks don't protect you from everything. Hold up these newborns on those same steps you publicly, nakedly fornicated on, except wearing face masks, and shout, look, these face masks are not 100%. This will show them. You say, look what happened when we wore face masks out in public. It would be helpful if the umbilical cord were still attached to the female, because that would create a more interesting thing for the news to cover. It would help also if the placenta were still inside the female, because then it would be more real.
What is the one worry that we have about staying inside and sheltering in place being safe? That's money. Making money so that we can spend money. And we are told directly and indirectly to risk our lives to earn this money and spend this money. Is that what's going on? Question mark. Why is the economy set up that everything has to keep going exactly the way it is, and if it stops, it's messed up? If we don't go out and risk our lives, this economy will crumble, and if we go outside, it's unhealthy, and we could die.
Do you want to place bets on dice throws when anybody else can throw their dice in too on your bet?
So indirectly or directly, we're being told that we have to, as people, go out and make money so we can spend money. Face the possible death or lose your house.
What you're saying is there's no guarantee on anything. And a better way to questionize this is I can make up a contract that says everything's going to be perfect for me. I'll sign it. I just signed it. Who can I get to sign the other half to help me fulfill this contract that everything is going to work out fine for me? That's question number one. Question number two is, why was the economy and or world set up that we have to keep going always? And there's no way that any of us could take, all of us could take a year off. Why is it not set up that way?
We have all been hearing the word unprecedented throughout this coronavirus. In a sense, everything in the world is unprecedented in the universe, because it's unprecedented that I held up 3 pieces of paper in this video. It's unprecedented that I held up 4. Please don't make fun of people who are overly cautious or overly protective in these pandemic times of COVID. Not everybody is in the same health mitigation situation as you are. They're not going to take the time to explain it to you. You will lessen their day. However, just don't.
No, I think you make fun of me all the time, man.
You should just go out.
I'm not going out there.
Why don't you just go out there?
There's no way I'm going out there, man. Hey, you should cover up, man.
Dude, I'm not you, man. I just borrow your shirt once in a while.
Stop doing that to my shirt, man. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Oh my god, that is disgusting. Gross, man. I don't even want that on me. I thought we were friends, man.
A cashier at one of the stores that has food and building supplies, she said in a huff, she said, it doesn't seem like people get the idea of what's essential. And what she was alluding to and kind of explaining is that people are going in to buy the most non-essential stuff. And that's getting into the rights of everyone. And as we analyze all the things, you could go from, can we have the right to go outside and run? Rights to cough while we're running, sneeze while we're running, with or without a virus, drive sneezing out our window with the window rolled down, with and without a beer.
Well, what I meant to say was, we were driving with Corona. That's why we party. That's how we party. We're really partying right now.
Swimming pools, public pools, have sex with people, walking with ferocious pandas on leashes and without leashes. As we're analyzing all this array of possibilities of human rights and what we can do outside, running along that array of possibilities of human rights, what is and isn't okay for everybody else in regards to everybody else, a good question to be running alongside that barometer is the question, how have us humans helped the universe or the planet? What have we as humans done on this planet other than entertain ourselves and feed ourselves? What have we done? Name one thing that we've done that we are good. The government has no right to have us wear face masks, question mark. But for how long have we been told to wear clothing and we do it? And we've been okay with this for how long? And then all of a sudden, wear a mask. You're not going to tell us what to do. I don't mind walking around with a mask like this, and if I'm around somebody uncomfortable, I'll just be like, well, here, let me just do this real quick. Or I run into a store and I notice everybody has their masks on, and I'm like, well, I should put mine on, shouldn't I? I don't mind if government tells me to wear a mask. It's not a big deal. I don't think wearing a mask is a big deal because the government pretty much is saying you got to wear clothes outside. So they're already telling us cover up, and we've been doing so for quite some time. Now all of a sudden they say cover your breath. Well, there's something there. But gosh, they do look like half of a bra. We've told you to cover your breasts, now cover your breath. Moving on with your life after a clip comment that gets strewn way out of proportion is way better than not moving on with your life and moping around and saying, why me? Now, I'm going to move on to the media loves this coronavirus. They love it. How do you get on the news? Do something really amazing, like the nurses and the frontline people they're doing things that are amazing. And die a gruesome death. These are the two things that will get you on the news. And both of these are being played out. This is like the movie. And you can reference even war because Vietnam is now being referenced. You can throw war in there. Anything you can throw in there and get people's viewers up as high as you can, the powers that be might say, well, that's not the intention. Come on. That's the intention. You wouldn't play a clip repeatedly that gets a lot of attention if you didn't want attention, regardless of if it's ruining anybody's lives. Mad Lib analogy, buying extra toilet paper, liquor stores are going to be open, me with my whipped cream. Everybody is acting out the comment, if I get corona, I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from fill in the blank. Everybody's doing it to some degree.
Hey, don't lump me into the crowd of everybody, because I'll have you know that I'm an expert at building cool things like tunnels and weird stuff. I could build myself an underground bunker just like that, and people like you won't be invited.
Even people who have backyard parties, it's now April, it's May 1st. And it's about to, some states are still delaying, some states are preparing to open, beaches are crowded, and these 6 people that were interviewed at the beach, and obviously one played out more prominently than the others, none of these people did anything terribly wrong. They didn't have enough knowledge at the time to give a technical interview. Had they been given, and then that's a catch there, because the interviewer wouldn't want to give the interviewee a lot of details about what's going on. They're not going to coach them and say, here's all the information you need to know before you give the interview.
In the history of interviews, I'm pretty sure or willing to bet that people have been coached on what to say, or at least the questions that will be asked of them.
People could get their news from newspapers and online reading. I believe video will take over because it's much more relaxing to the mind and less stressful than reading. That's effort. And writing, that's also effort. I'm pretty sure that we are going to teach our kids that we do not need to even go to school. Just watch videos and opinionate.
It shouldn't be an ongoing thing to wreck somebody's life, to get that one comment and be played on the air repeatedly.
Day 155 of editing. Actually, no. I didn't keep track of them until I was just like, okay, I heard this again. I've heard on the news several interviews where people happen to say end of the day, where it's repeated. And one interview was NBC Nightly News, May 15th. A fellow was saying about opening up some shops or whatnot. What I'm getting at is maybe from the beach interview being replayed and replayed, it's possible it gets ingrained in everybody's head and they keep using that phrase in interviews. That's all I'm saying.
Now, publicly, one person in these many people who were interviewed is publicly responsible for, or a poster child for, all of what's wrong with the world or the coronavirus aspect of it. I disagree with that completely.
Here's what I think of your blue-collar comments.
So I'm like, who writes this kind of story? This is a 4-month-long story going on 6 months. It's like a 4th grader wrote this. Something they'd turn in at the beginning of the school year next year saying, this is my creative writing project. Yeah, so there was no school. We didn't have to go to school anymore because there was a bad virus. Very icky virus. And there was no more toilet paper. We ran out of toilet paper. Everybody ran out of toilet paper because there was no toilet paper. And we had to stay at home and be taught by celebrities, because celebrities were starting to teach school now, because that's just cool. And we could go to school in our PJs, and we could drink hot chocolate and have whipped cream on our hot chocolate while we're watching celebrities teach, and there's still no more toilet paper. I believe, based on your posting, that you, Brady, learned a lot from this as far as perspective. I hope you did. Because you got in the New York Times. Oh my gosh. Like, if anything, if you're ever, Brady, if you're ever afraid or concerned about going on a job interview in the future, you can just beef up your resume like you wouldn't believe. You can put things like, yeah, I was mentioned in the New York Times. Oh, what about, oh yeah, this. Well, what about that? Well, yeah, I inspired a whole country to decide things epidemically. And the interviewer might say, prove that happened. And then you can say, well, prove it didn't. And you can say, oh, I see you do golf. There's another motorcycle. Could be the same one. You can look at the things on the interviewer's wall and go, oh, I see you did some golf. Oh, I see you like boating. Yeah, I inspired a country to decide what they wanted to do with these citizens. What did you do? I mean, probably you wouldn't want to be cocky like that. But New York Times, you got mentioned in the New York Times. Dude, like, wow. Let me go make that comment. Thank you, Brady, for making such an interesting comment on the news and having it be played out, because that little bit of a frame or footage got me thinking about a lot of things. Had you not done that interview, at the end of the day interview, I would not have had so much things to ponder for quite a bit of time and thinking about things and retrospective and perspective stuff. So I'm saying thanks for that. You wrote in your response to everything, you wrote a more critical retrospective of you and your forwarding approach to life than particular political people do. So you're not necessarily my hero for making the comment, but responding in such a way that you did, that's cool. And I'm going to close with this one thought. And maybe I won't, I might cut it out. But I'll close with this one thought. How many times have people wiped away a spider web? Or destroyed an anthill? And when it comes time to, and I'm referencing the pandemic, but I'm saying it like this. When it comes time to deal with a tornado wiping away so many homes, do spiders get mad at us the way we do at tornadoes? Or do they just keep moving on?